Tethering a Sony camera to Lightroom was a nightmare until now. I should know, I did this video a few years ago on a workaround that Sony camera users could do to bring in those photos to Lightroom as you took them, but you had to have another program open just to operate the camera. It worked and helped a lot of Sony users, but there was a lot you had to do just to make it happen. A lot of you even said it in the comments of that video, and I agree. But at the time, there wasn't any other solution if you used Lightroom except to use another program like Capture One, ePhoto, or Smart Shooter. But it looks like Adobe and Sony might have teamed up to make tethering Sony cameras to Lightroom a whole lot easier, because Adobe has finally added native tethered camera support for Sony cameras, which means no more tethering workarounds. Yay! I'll walk you through the few simple steps it takes to start your tethered shoots through Lightroom. And stay until the end of this video because I'll share which Sony cameras are compatible with this new camera support, because not all of them are. Quickly, if you're new here, hi, my name is Desiree and I'm a video producer and editor, and I create videos on camera gear, how to use that gear, and share tips on working in corporate video production. If that interests you, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. Of course, you'll need a Sony camera and the USB cable that comes with your camera. It's better to use the cable that Sony provides with the camera because that cable works for sure and your computer will be able to see the camera. But if you don't have it or are using a cable from a random third-party brand you bought from Amazon, there is a higher chance of the computer not detecting the camera and you won't be able to tether it. I know some of my viewers tried tethering using a third-party USB cable where this has happened. Most likely it's because that cable could only power the camera but not transfer data, which is what you needed to do for tethering. If you lost your original cable, it will be tricky to find an official one because Sony doesn't sell those cables by themselves. You may be able to find it sold as a spare part, but you'll have to do some digging on the internet. If you need to buy one, make sure it can power and transfer data to and from the camera, and buy it from a reputable place that sells cameras like Adorama or B&H Photo. TetherTools sells USB cables specifically for tethering, and I would recommend getting the cable from them. This isn't sponsored by TetherTools, but I would think that would be your best bet for finding a cable that will work. Their cables can be a bit pricey, especially the longer ones, but the extra length is needed for tethering, or else you'll need to get a USB cable extender, which is what I use with my Sony cable. I'll share some links to the cables from TetherTools if you need a cable, and the USB extender if you have your Sony cable. You'll need a Mac or PC with Lightroom installed. I'm using a Mac for this demonstration. If your camera's USB cable has a USB-A plug that goes into the computer, but your computer only has USB-C ports, then you'll need a USB-A to C adapter to connect it. There are additional accessories you can get to make your tethering experience much more enjoyable and safe from any potential accidents. Check out this video on my channel where I share all of those accessories. There are two versions of Lightroom, Lightroom and Lightroom Classic, but for tethering, you'll need to use Lightroom Classic. The tethering feature is not available in Lightroom because Lightroom is a simplified version of Lightroom Classic and doesn't have any advanced features. You can only do basic photo editing with it, so get the Classic version. Make sure you download version 13.3 or later from Adobe's Creative Cloud to have the Sony camera support. Turn on your camera and plug in the USB cable into the camera and the computer. On the camera screen, you'll see these options appear and you'll select Remote Shooting. Depending on your camera's model, your camera may show a slightly different menu with an option that says PC Remote instead of Remote Shooting. Select that one. If you have the newer menu or recently updated the firmware in your camera, this screen may come up. This is to set up where the photos you take while tethered will go and the size of the JPEG files. If you've never tethered on your camera before, then I suggest you go and set that up before going into Lightroom. You would hit Set Now to do that, then get out of the menu when you're done. If your remote shooting settings are already set, then hit Close. You can also select the Don't Show This Again option before hitting close, so you don't see this particular screen every time you plug the cable into the computer, because it will come up every time. We're back on the camera's main screen, and you'll see this little icon that shows the camera is connected to the computer. Then go over to your computer and open Lightroom Classic. Then go to File, Tethered Capture, Start Tethered Capture. Add the session name, how you want the file to be named, the destination on your computer the photos will be saved to, and you have the option to add it to a collection in your Lightroom library. You can add any metadata or keywords here. I'm gonna leave this Disable Auto Advance unchecked because I want Lightroom to automatically show me the new photo every time it's taken, and if you check this box, it won't do that. Click OK. It detects the camera, and now it's connected and ready to take photos. We get this bar here where you can control the camera through Lightroom. You can see the information about the camera that's connected, the camera's model name. You can click this live button to get the live feed from the camera. You can control the shutter speed, aperture, ISO, and white balance. This is the shutter button to take the photo. And there's the photo. And that's it. Needless to say, it's so much easier now to start tethering with Sony cameras, but this is only available for certain Sony models. These are the models that will work. And as you can see, there are some older models that are supported, and probably any new Sony camera that comes out going forward will also be compatible and added to this list. If your camera model isn't listed here, and then it's probably not gonna work. You could try to see if it does, but if it doesn't, then you may have to do the workaround to get the Lightroom tethering going. And I'll include a link to that video in the description. Let me know in the comments if you're going to be tethering more often now that it's so much easier to do. If this video helped you out, be sure to hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.